Getting straight to the point. There are things in your life you use so often that your brain has filed them under, of course this should work. You tap, drag, switch on, wear, sit on, step into, and expect the entire universe to coordinate itself in service of you like some king of the technological age. But if you pause for 1 second and ask, how does this thing actually work? Most of us freeze like a computer with 47 tabs open and no RAM left. So today, we're going to talk about the things humans use every day with high confidence and low understanding. Extremely low understanding.
Observe. Number 11. Bluetooth.
Bluetooth is one of those modern technologies that gets respected purely because it occasionally agrees to function. The rest of the time, it exists mainly to make you mutter curses under your breath while toggling that tiny little icon on and off like you're performing a ritual sacrifice to the gods of consumer electronics. Everyone has been through this. You just want to connect your earbuds. A very humble request. But your phone disagrees. It decides that instead of pairing with the earbuds lying right in front of you, it wants to connect to some mysterious device located beyond 2 walls and 3 households. Maybe it's a portable speaker. Maybe it's a TV. Maybe it's someone's smart fridge living a life that has become far too digitized for any reasonable person. The name Bluetooth sounds like some kind of Viking dental disease, but it was actually named after a Nordic king who united multiple tribes. The irony, of course, is that the technology named after him now struggles to unite a phone with a speaker sitting 20 centimeters away. Technically speaking, Bluetooth is low-power radio communication, constantly hopping across different frequencies to avoid interference. In other words, your device is endlessly changing channels like a hyperactive child holding a TV remote, trying to dodge all the other signals crammed into the air, Wi-Fi, microwaves, smart devices, and everything else humanity has hurled into the electromagnetic spectrum just to avoid plugging in a cable. The two devices are not seeing each other in any romantic sense. They are continuously screaming data at each other. Are you there? It's me. I'm here. Can you hear me? Thousands of times per second, inside an invisible digital room as crowded as an airport check-in counter during a holiday rush. When it works, it's an engineering miracle. When it doesn't, you're standing in the middle of the gym in silence, holding your phone like someone who has just been betrayed, hearing every one of your own heavy breaths and wondering why you let a tiny blue symbol control your emotional state for an entire morning.
Welcome back.
10,
Today, we're taking a closer look at the elevator.
You step into a metal box, press a glowing number, and then calmly allow yourself to be pulled skyward by a system of cables you can only hope were inspected by someone who is not freshly divorced or running on no sleep. We treat elevators as if they were vertical teleportation. Press button, stand still, arrive. But in reality, what's happening is an extremely serious physics performance wrapped inside an awkward social experience involving 3 strangers all staring at the door as if they're attending a mandatory meditation session. Most people think the motor is lifting the entire cabin the way you'd pull a bucket out of a well. Not exactly. In many systems, there's also a massive counterweight hanging on the other side. Basically, an elevator is a giant mechanical seesaw. When the cabin is light, the counterweight is heavier. When the cabin is packed with coworkers, backpacks, laptops, and lunch containers emitting deeply concerning smells, the cabin becomes heavier. The motor only has to deal with the difference, rather than carrying the entire burden the way office workers carry their emotions on a Monday morning. And then there's the close door button, one of the oldest trolls in modern civilization. In a lot of buildings, that button exists mostly to soothe your psychology. It is simulated power. A mechanical placebo candy for a brain that cannot handle 5 seconds of helplessness. You think you're giving the machine an order. In reality, the system is merely allowing you to play the role of the person in control, while the computer quietly decided everything from the beginning. You are not controlling the elevator. You are having your emotions managed by an algorithm that knows full well how much human beings hate waiting.
Welcome.
Number 9.
Today
the
we
internal
unveil the
combustion
powerful
engine.
and efficient internal.
Your car is basically a chain of controlled explosions happening right in front of your feet, and yet you still use it to buy iced coffee and banh mi as if this were the most natural thing in the world. For most drivers, the engine is just a very expensive lump of metal under the hood that occasionally makes a noise capable of freezing your wallet in terror.
Intake.
But at its core, it is a
Compression.
violently synchronized
Ignition.
dance. Intake, compression,
Exhaust.
ignition,
Huh?
exhaust. Air goes in. Fuel gets injected.
Goes in.
The mixture is compressed into a space so tiny it loses all right to privacy. Then the spark plug fires. A tiny explosion happens. The piston gets shoved downward. That motion is converted into rotational force. And the whole process repeats continuously at a speed high enough for you to fly down the highway while listening to a podcast about healing your inner self. If the ignition timing is off by even a little, if the valve timing slips by a beat, if any component falls out of synchronization, the whole elegant machine can turn into the heaviest decorative object you have ever owned.
Engine.
What's impressive is that humanity managed to trap the power of explosions inside a block of metal and then control it just by flexing an ankle. We do not deeply understand thermodynamics. We only understand that when the check engine light comes on, the most emotionally popular solution is to turn up the music and hope the car forgets whatever is wrong with it.
The
At its
blast
core, your
propels
morning
the
commute still
ball,
depends
and
on
the
a principle
cylinder
not all that
ignites
far
the
removed from
piston.
classical canons.
Same principle.
The
with
difference is
modern
that now it comes
comforts.
with air conditioning,
Still just a
heated seats,
controlled
and cup
explosion,
holders.
really. Welcome
Number
to our
8,
countdown
the
of
Wi-Fi
invisible
signal.
modern miracles.
We treat Wi-Fi
perfect
like
connection.
air,
File
invisible,
sent,
absolutely
stream is
vital,
great,
and
call
only
is
truly
connected.
appreciated when
What?
it disappears
No,
at the
not
exact
now.
moment you need
No.
to send a file,
Ugh,
make a
really?
video call,
Right
or finish
now?
the best
This
part
is
of a movie.
ridiculous.
A lot of people imagine a router as some kind of lighthouse broadcasting internet light evenly throughout the house. The truth is much more chaotic. Your home is actually a bowl of invisible electromagnetic soup where signals are bouncing off walls, squeezing through furniture, getting absorbed by building materials, being disrupted by other devices, and occasionally getting murdered by seemingly harmless objects like baby monitors or microwave ovens. Wi-Fi is basically data encoded and sent through radio waves. Your router is blasting out incredibly fast signal patterns, your device catches them, decodes them, and reconstructs them into images, sounds, messages, videos, emails, and all the other things that make you forget the weather outside is beautiful. But waves are real physics, not magic. And physics has a very clear attitude toward obstacles. Walls weaken signals. Metal reflects signals. Water absorbs signals. And human beings, yes, are walking bags of water. A crowded room is basically an obstacle course made of salt and liquid, accidentally destroying the quality of the network. You are not simply watching cat videos.
Simple.
Your phone is capturing
Or is
invisible
it?
fluctuations in an electromagnetic field, then reassembling them into entertainment while your walls and neighbors enthusiastically
Behold the
contribute to making the
chaotic
entire experience worse.
interference.
It is a miracle of physics that humanity uses primarily to argue with strangers.
Number 7.
7. Airplane
These
wings.
enormous wings, which
You
Trying to
sit
stay
inside a
calm.
pressurized metal
Just
tube,
a little
tens
sip.
of thousands of feet in the air. Take a tiny sip of water from a
Wow.
plastic cup, and try not to
That's
think about
really
the fact
high.
that outside there is almost
Okay,
nothing between
okay,
you and
back
a very
to
long
normal.
fall. Most people think airplanes fly because the engines push them upward. No. The engines mostly just make the plane go forward fast enough. The thing that actually lifts dozens of tons of metal and hundreds of people into the air is the wing. An airplane wing is not just a decorative plank attached to both sides. Its shape is designed to force air to behave in ways that are extremely useful to us. The airflow above and below the wing moves under different conditions, creating a pressure difference. At the same time, the wing also deflects air downward, and by reaction, the airplane gets pushed upward. Put more
flying isn't
simply,
magic.
the plane is
it's
not
an aggressive
defeating
negotiation
gravity through
with
faith.
gravity.
It is
See how the
negotiating
air
very
pushes
aggressively
back,
with the atmosphere
making
at high
flight
speed.
an agreement.
If the speed is not high enough, if the angle is wrong, if the airflow no longer clings to the surface of the wing the way it's supposed to, lift drops. And at that point, your vacation instantly turns into a practical lesson in aerodynamics that nobody signed up for.
You
are
think you're
not
peacefully
floating
floating
through the
on clouds? Think
You
again.
are riding a machine that knows how to
airplane
force
wing
the
is
sky to
forcing the
cooperate.
atmosphere to behave.
Number 6.
And
QR
now,
codes.
the moment you've been waiting for. And
QR
here,
codes
the
look like
chaotic
someone
blocks
dropped a tile
arranged.
puzzle onto a dining table and then
Scanning.
decided to turn it into a
Payment
global
approved.
payment system.
Just like that.
You see a chaotic patch of black and white squares on a cafe table, on a package, on a poster, on a receipt, and somehow your phone needs less than a second to understand the full meaning of that image. The human brain sees noise. The camera sees structure. Those three big squares in the corners are not decorative.
Anchor points.
They help the phone determine orientation, position, and scanning frame. That's why you can point your camera at it from a bizarre angle, with your hand shaking from too much coffee, and it still reads the thing. The rest is binary data arranged according to specific rules, along with a surprisingly powerful error correction system. That means even if the code is dirty, scratched, or partially covered, the system can still infer the missing parts and keep reading, like a digital detective reconstructing the scene. In other words,
Welcome.
it is a chunk of
Today
data
we
printed
look
on
at the
paper,
simple
turning your phone
QR
camera
code.
into a translator for the square-shaped language
When your
humanity
camera
invented so we
scans
wouldn't have to type
These
prehistoric
blocks
internet
of
links by
data
hand.
flow in.
We
The
went
journey from
"Please enter
painful
the
manual
website
typing
address"
to
point your
effortless
phone at the
digital
sticker
ritual.
like you're casting a spell.
Number 5. The hidden
GPS
infrastructure we
satellites.
rely on daily.
When you're lost in a
Turn
multi-story
left
parking garage and a
in
cold,
60
emotionless voice from your phone
meters.
says, "Turn left in 60 meters," you may imagine your phone is calling directly into space to ask for directions. It isn't. Your phone is not the main character in an interplanetary conversation. It is just listening. GPS works by having satellites continuously broadcast information about their position and the exact time at which the signal is sent. Your phone receives those signals, calculates how long they took to arrive, and uses math to figure out where it is. To do that, the system has to measure time with terrifying precision. Because radio signals move so fast, even a tiny timing error is enough to move your location from standing next to your car to floating in a pond several hundred meters away. And here's the part where things stop being convenient technology and start becoming actual science fiction. The clocks on satellites do not run the same way clocks on Earth do, because of speed and gravity. If engineers did not correct for relativity, GPS would drift into uselessness very quickly.
I could go for some fried chicken.
You are using the
Where's the
practical
nearest one?
consequences of Einsteinian physics just to find
Got
the nearest
it.
fried
chicken
place.
engaged. Number 4. A
the
common
refrigerator.
household appliance or
Most people think a refrigerator creates
Open
cold,
up the
as if there's a tiny
fridge
machine
and
inside
what do we
producing
have?
coldness and spraying
A
it evenly over the
magical
milk carton
cold
and the watermelon
machine
slices.
spraying frosty
Unfortunately,
mist?
science enjoys
That's
ruining
not
charming
how it
ideas like that.
works.
Cold is
The
not really a thing that
refrigerator
gets produced in the
doesn't
same
make
way an
cold.
object does.
It's
What
a
more
heat
clearly
thief,
exists is heat, and your
removing
refrigerator
energy
is
to
basically a
keep
professional
things
heat
cool.
thief. It uses refrigerant, a substance capable of evaporating and condensing under the right conditions, to absorb heat from inside the fridge. When the refrigerant evaporates in the evaporator coils, it pulls heat out of the food and the air inside. Then the compressor squeezes it, pushes it into the heat release phase at the back or underneath the fridge, where all the stolen heat gets dumped into your kitchen. That's why the back of a refrigerator
noticed
feels
that the
warm.
back of your fridge is
It is the
warm.
graveyard of all the
But where
heat
does
that used to
heat
live
come
inside
from?
your yogurt,
Well, it's all the
vegetables,
heat
and
stolen
last
from
night's
your yogurt,
leftovers.
your vegetable.
In other words,
The
you are not
refrigerator,
cooling food.
a master
You are
thief,
carrying out a cyclical
extracts
energy
heat
heist,
like
continuously
stolen
sucking
money.
heat out of your groceries and dumping it into the room like some kind of thermodynamic bank transfer.
See the
That entire
perfectly
war is
chill.
happening just to stop a
Without
carton
the
of milk
fridge?
from turning into a biology experiment.
The humble
Number 3,
ballpoint pen,
the ballpoint
an invention
pen.
so ubiquitous.
You probably have a few ballpoint pens rolling around somewhere in a drawer, in a bag, in your car, or under a chair without even knowing it. They appear everywhere, and they're so cheap they get forgotten the moment you're done using them. But this tiny object is actually a mechanical achievement that gets treated like disposable office trash. At the tip of the pen is a microscopic ball, usually made from an extremely hard material, held inside a socket manufactured to absurdly tight tolerances. If it were a little looser, the ink would pour out like a disaster. If it were a little tighter, the pen would fall silent like an employee who has already quit emotionally. As you write, that ball rolls across the paper, pulling ink out of the cartridge while simultaneously pressing it onto the surface. It works like a microscopic paint roller, but with enough precision for you to sign contracts, take notes, or write a shopping list that you will still somehow forget half of.
Notice
Most
how the
ballpoint
ink
pens rely
flows
heavily on gravity and
effortlessly
flow
in a
designed to
natural
work
Oh my
efficiently.
muse, where have
That's
you
why there are
gone?
moments when you
This
try to write
stubborn
while lying
pen
sideways
fight,
like
it
a heartbroken
defies
poet,
me.
and the
The
pen
ink
suddenly
needs
decides to go on
gravity,
strike.
see?
Humanity
The
created
ballpoint
a
pen,
highly controlled
a
ink leak at a
remarkable feat of
remarkably
engineering.
delicate scale,
Humanity
and then
created
sold
a
it for
highly
less than a
controlled
bottle
ink
of
leak at
water.
a microscopic scale.
Number 2, the zipper.
This tiny
A zipper is one of those inventions
G'day,
you only
stick
truly
figures.
notice when it
Today we
betrays you at
discuss the
exactly the
hidden
worst
perils of
possible
the
moment.
zipper.
When you're in a hurry, when you're dressed well,
Oh,
when you're
no,
about to go
I'm
out,
late.
or worse,
Why
when you're
won't
trying to
this
stay
thing
calm in
move?
public.
It's jammed.
At a glance, it looks like nothing more than 2 rows of teeth and a slider. But in reality, this is a precision mass joining mechanism. Each zipper tooth is shaped to hook into the matching tooth on the other side. The slider acts like a wedge, forcing the 2 sides together at the right angle and in the right order so the teeth lock into place. It's basically a high-speed assembly line, shrunk down to something you can hold between 2 fingers. That's also why a zipper with separated teeth or a stretched-out slider is so irritatingly hard to fix. You're not just pushing it back together. You're trying to recreate a highly precise chain of mechanical forces with hands that are panicking because you're already late.
Notice
to put
the
it bluntly,
elegance of
your
these
jacket
locking
and your pants are being
mechanisms.
kept closed by a long row of microscopic
pants are
locking
staying
mechanisms
up.
working
And
together
she
so
just keeps
smoothly that
jogging.
people forget to be grateful.
Unbelievable.
Number 1.
1.
Noise-canceling
The
headphones.
everyday mystery revealed.
If you've ever put on a good pair of noise-canceling headphones and felt the engine noise, the crying children, the conversations, the sound of the world in general, suddenly seem as if someone unplugged them from reality, what you're experiencing is not just thick padding around your ears. It is a physical counterattack. Active noise-canceling headphones do not simply block outside sound. They listen to it. Inside the headphones are microphones that pick up environmental noise. A processor then creates a sound wave that is almost the exact opposite phase of that noise. When the 2 waves meet, they partially cancel each other out, making the sound you hear significantly quieter.
Annoying
Or, to say
noise
it less
enters.
politely, your headphones hear the
detect
noise,
it.
then immediately
Launch
generate an
opposing
opposing version
wave.
of that same noise so
Bam!
the 2 can fight each other right in
Silence.
front of your eardrums.
See
That is
how
why
the
active noise
headphones
cancellation
block
is especially
the
effective
steady
against low,
hums?
steady, repetitive sounds like
But the
airplane
sharp
engines,
noises
air conditioners,
still
bus
get
motors,
through a
or the
bit.
constant hum. Modern open-plan offices
Modern
insist on calling
offices,
a dynamic
right?
work environment. You are not just listening to music. You are sitting in the middle of a microscopic acoustic war in which wave equations are being deployed in real time to buy you a little artificial peace and quiet. And honestly, in this world, artificial peace and quiet is sometimes even more valuable than the real thing. That's the funny thing about modern life.
Wi-Fi,
We live surrounded by
satellites,
countless miracles of
zippers.
engineering, physics,
We interact
mechanics,
with them
and
every
electronics,
day without
yet
a
we interact
second
with
thought.
them on the basis of,
But look
as long
beneath
as it
the
works.
surface.
We use incredibly complicated systems with the mindset of someone pressing the microwave button and getting angry because the food isn't evenly heated. We ride elevators, wear headphones, scan codes, connect Bluetooth, use GPS, open refrigerators, zip jackets, drive to work, all with an almost religious faith that technology should behave and serve us obediently.
Everything
Until one
works.
tiny thing
It all
stops
just functions.
And then the entire layer of paint called "I understand this life" peels off instantly, and we return to our true nature. A monkey that knows the
Beneath it
Wi-Fi
all,
password.
we're still just monkeys.